All right. So this is Yankees Unloaded. Gary and I have just absolutely had it with Aaron Boone. I mean, this is it's funny. Are we gonna say this again, Gary? The whole this is the worst loss of the
Don't say
year.
it. Yeah, it was. I don't think it was. I just think it was like, it really was just, it was the worst performance from our manager that I've seen. And that's saying quite a bit, because this is coming from a manager who, at the beginning of this year, we said when we started the show, we're going to be objective. We're going to talk about what Aaron Boone does well. We're going to talk about what he fails at. We talked about him stretching pitchers. We talked about his ability to build lineups, to which he's done incredibly poor, right? Just horrible the whole year. Now, I felt this was the most well-rounded bad performance from Aaron Boone I've seen. And I mean,
it was
that.
awful.
It was horrible. So let's just break down exactly kind of how this game went if you missed the game. And of course, you can stick for this, right? Like, you could stick around for this if you saw the game. In terms of execution, right? Making quality outs, running the bases well, smart, right? Putting guys in position to succeed. Aaron Boone did none of these things tonight. None of them. Okay. And I know Aaron Boone, technically, he's not responsible for what his third base coach and Trent Grisham are doing, rounding third base, going home, which essentially cost us the game in the eighth inning, of course. Right. But when you talk about putting players on the field who continuously fail at the fundamentals of the game, it's just hard to take a manager seriously and not criticize, because I do believe a lot of this fan base has been conditioned so that if you do criticize this manager, if you do call for his job, or if you talk about something anecdotally that is wrong with what's being done out on the field, it's being seen as picking on him. It's being seen as picking on a player. We've seen this with Alex Verdugo, whether we want to talk about him. If we talk about Trent Grisham being lazy in center field, picking up a ground ball, we want to talk about Verdugo running the bases, right? So it doesn't matter who we criticize. It feels like people take this personally. And I'm here to tell you right now, Jake, I'll speak for us both. This is not personal. We know Aaron Boone's a really good dude, but what the Yankees are doing fundamentally is so lackadaisical, lazy, and boring. You said before this show, this Yankees team is not fun to watch. I don't think it's because of their inability to hit a homer. It's not their inability to hit. Hell, I think we've scored more runs than just about any team in baseball, if not more runs than anybody else. Okay. So this team isn't awful, okay, in terms of scoring and preventing runs. Okay. But situationally, when you need to get something done, okay, you're talking about innings 7, 8, and 9. That's where the best managers in baseball history, they come to play. Okay. That's when championship teams like the Houston Astros, if you ever want to know what makes the Houston Astros and what makes the Braves and all those organizations in years past, right? The 98 Yankees, right? All those teams great. It's what they do in innings 7, 8, and 9. And a lot of times it comes down to mental mistakes and it reflects on your manager. So we're going to dive deep into Aaron Boone in this game, into this episode. And we want to definitely talk about what he's done, because this was just a masterclass, just puppet master Dookie Fest. Horrible. Not fun at all. And I wanted to just laugh on Twitter, because that's usually what I do, is I make jokes when I'm in turmoil. It really was just sad to watch, because I'm really rooting for this to work. Regardless of what Cashman did at our deadline, right? All that stuff. We obviously didn't do much, right? We loved the Chisholm pickup, but outside of that, nothing, right? But we're trying to maneuver our minds and figure out, how's this going to work? And it can't work with everything that happened today. Everyone that was put in their position that was hopeful from Aaron Boone to win, I just can't see how one who knows baseball would make those decisions and expect to beat a team like the Cleveland Guardians. I thought, Jake, that it was an F- performance, and we deserve everything we got today.
Yeah, it was incredibly frustrating. Before we dive into that, just want to let you guys know that you can subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. I know a lot of people out there watch our show and have not subscribed. We appreciate you watching, but make sure you hit that sub button. Also, be sure to hit that thumbs up on your way out or on your way in, whatever works best, and drop a comment. We'll have I guess I picked the movie, I think, this one, right?
Yes. Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Which, by the way, I believe we have subscriptions now. So if people subscribe to our channel, it essentially bumps up your comment and makes sure that we respond. I know we definitely spend a lot of time responding to comments after our shows. We try to do our best. I mean, there are a lot of them now, but being a subscriber absolutely guarantees we'll reply. I mean, hell, it bumps you up to the top. So yeah, so subscribe.
Yeah. Yeah, it is me. So there's going to be a absolute dumpster fire of a movie that is so you'll have to stick with us. But yeah, so we're going to be talking about Verdugo. We're going to be talking about LeMahieu. We're going to be talking about Aaron Boone's in-game managing, as Gary kind of alluded to. We're going to be talking about that stupid ass platoon between Wells and Trevino. And we'll wrap the show up with Luis Gil and the lower back stiffness, our thoughts on it, maybe who could replace him, so forth. So, Gary, let's take it from the top here. Verdugo, LeMahieu. Let's start off with LeMahieu. I thought this was a good quote to kind of bring to the surface. I'm going to have my joke, and then I'll just let you have the floor. But yes, joke. That's how bad this is. DJ LeMahieu is hitting 189 with a 512 OPS. This is Brian Hoke on Twitter. What does Aaron Boone see that tells him it's still in there? Aaron Boone says, it's been rough. No question about it. He has had moments where he's gotten it going a little bit, but it's been tough. I know he's working his tail off to get it right and be a contributor. At this point, we've got to just keep grinding with him. Gary, when I read this, the first thing I thought of, that like the way he ends it, it's like, you're already down $10,000 at a casino, and you're just like, it's not going well. It's been rough. I got going in a little bit, but just gotta keep grinding. Yeah, I know it's coming. Like, do you realize how insane that sounds? You also keep this in mind. They have Ben Rice. Like, did they forget that this kid's still on the roster? They still have Ben Rice, but I don't want to get too much into that right now. What were your thoughts on this quote? Because I was in the middle of like getting mad and laughing while I was mad. That's how I felt.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought this quote to the surface, because it goes to show you that the leash is as long as they want it to be. That's what we're learning. And this isn't a matter of, are we putting the best players on the field today to win today's game? No, it's about being right. That's what it's about. It's about Aaron Boone and Brian Cashman winning the argument of whether or not to give up on. Earlier in the year, it was Giancarlo Stanton, right? They believed in Giancarlo Stanton, and it worked out. They're super proud of themselves about that, by the way. They're very happy about it. Now, he ended up getting hurt. Then you fast forward to DJ LeMahieu, who finally makes his way back to the field. Okay. They get Cabrera, who was hitting very well, off the field inexplicably, and put a player who hasn't done anything in a year, and he immediately stinks up the joint. DJ LeMahieu has been so bad this year that everyone stares at his batting average, which is inexplicably bad, right? He's hitting 189. But you'd think that this player, maybe when he gets ahead of counts, that then as an aging 36-year-old infielder utility, he must do a lot better, but he's just struggling to get ahead of counts. Wrong. In 2-0 counts, everybody knows who watches baseball, a 2-0 count is a fastball count. It's as opportunistic as it gets. He's hitting 188, below his season batting average with 2-0 counts. So a pitcher can unsuccessfully pitch 2 pitches, just throw them both in the dirt, and DJ LeMahieu is still hitting below the Mendoza line. After that happens, that's how bad he's been. It's unbelievable, okay? And defensively, at best, you'd say, well, DJ's a pretty good defensive player. Doesn't matter for a player of his caliber. It does not matter, okay? So let me say this. It goes to show you, you can hit 150. You essentially can have a Joey Gallo-like season as long as at some point or another in the season, you do anything over a stretch of a week. If you do, they're going to say, hey, I know he hit 140, okay, from July all the way to the beginning of August. But from August 8th till the 17th, he hit 325. Well, I have a newsflash for this Yankees organization and their staffers. Every player in Major League Baseball is going to hit over 300 for a 3 or 4 day stretch. I promise you. You can go watch the 8-hitter for the Toronto Blue Jays. You can go to Colorado and find their 9-hitter. I promise you, every single player on every roster is going to look like a Major League Baseball player for a very short period of time. And the Yankees seem to think that that short period of time is evidence that something's there. It is not. It isn't. Okay? Good baseball players are good consistently. Okay? Consistently. If I turn tomorrow's game on, who are you? And if you're a good player, I can expect more times than not, you're going to do something to help the Yankees win a baseball game. If I watch DJ LeMahieu, if I watch Alex Verdugo, the list goes on. Trent Grisham can't round a base. If I saw them tomorrow, my expectation should be failure. If it's anything other than failure, you have intentions to lie. You are trying to fool somebody. And I promise you, here at Yankees Unloaded, and I don't know how many of you are repeat watchers of this show, they're not fooling anybody here. This is not, we're not going to be fooled by it. Because frankly, I don't work for I don't work for the Yankees, and I never will. So I don't mind criticizing things that are failing. I'm not saying everyone just needs to lose their jobs, but someone does. And they need to figure out who that guy is. Is it going to be the athletic trainers again? Is it going to be the hitting coach? Is it going to be Sean Casey, right? Are they going to just keep firing these guys and say, oh, no, the reason that we're not hitting or the reason we can't stay on the mound healthy is because of these guys? Or is it maybe the players that Brian Cashman's acquired? Is it maybe that, right? So I just think this whole thing with DJ LeMahieu, to bring this full circle, is that they want to be right so desperately, they're willing to ignore an entire season-long Dookie Fest. This is embarrassing. It's an insult to our intelligence. And I take this as an insult to our entire, this is an insult and a spit in our face.
This is an insult to humanity. No, I agree though. I agree because, I mean, we just saw Ahmed Rosario get waived or DFA'd hitting over 300 by the Dodgers. Now, that was a stupid play by them. They probably should have cut somebody else. The point I'm making here is if Rosario can get DFA'd hitting over 300, then why is LeMahieu, who's hitting 189 at the end of August? What are we doing? Alex Verdugo is hitting 230. I mean, I've gotten to the point where, you know, I've always said this. You go, and I've probably used this before, so sorry for using it again. It's not like a broken record, but you go to a concert, you see Taylor Swift, you see Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters, you see Eminem rap, right? Or you see Tom Brady slinging a football, or you see Aaron Donald rushing a passer, you see Connor McDavid on a breakaway, you see LeBron James. It's like, you see these guys and you know why. You're like, wow, okay, they're really like, there's a reason they are pros. They are upper echelon talents. I don't know why Alex Verdugo and DJ LeMahieu are in the major leagues right now. I don't think they're major league hitters, because the common misconception is that well, you're saying that, but you couldn't play there. No. People look at AAA like it's garbage. There's a lot of major league talent in AAA. I mean, Narvaez, I think, is as good, if not better, than Trevino. He's in AAA.
Yeah, but
right
like
now.
I told you before,
Jason Dominguez.
To make those decisions, though, you're right. But to make those decisions to go towards minor league players, right? Narvaez, if they got rid of Trevino, that would be them saying we were wrong about what we did before. And that's something the Yankees are not capable of doing. They're not. I promise you.
They care more about their ego than they do about the wins and losses. And
their ego should be shot by now, don't you think?
Because I would think so. Verdugo hasn't hit a home run since July 6th.
Oh, they don't care about that.
That's a real stat.
They don't care about that.
So not only is he not hitting for average, not only is he basically hitting the same amount of ground balls into the dirt and killing all the ants and the anthills and everything on the level of LeMahieu, but he's not even hitting home runs. He has 10. He hasn't hit one. LeMahieu's hit 2 since the last time he's hit 1. LeMahieu, who has no power. I mean, his launch angle is in the negative. Okay.
Well, he has 180 at bats. DJ LeMahieu does, and he's hit 2 home runs. So this idea that this is a productive player, this is a player in the first half who hit 188. Obviously, had 117 at bats. In his 63 at bats in the second half, he's hitting 206.
I just don't understand. Like, do they not realize that it's almost September? That's the last month before.
No, they do, but it doesn't matter. That's the thing, is people don't understand it. It does not matter for this Yankees organization.
Well, no, I understand what you're saying, but like,
did you hear what Michael Case said though?
Why would you come out and say what Boone said? Like, why would you admit to that? Like, why? Why would you ever say at this point we just got to keep grinding with him right after you just called Jason Dominguez up and called him your 27th man or whatever, and he had 4 hits tonight, like in AAA? It's like, it's a joke. It's an absolute joke, and people shouldn't stand for this. And the reality of it is, yes, they have 300 million, and I have not said this enough. They have a 300 million payroll. Yes, I am aware Brian Cashman has not done as good of a job as he should. But at the end of the day, Boone is working with way more talent than most managers. I would say 95% of managers in baseball are working with. And the reality is, it's not because of the trash can banging. It's not because of Aroldis Chapman. It's not because of this and that. Aaron Boone is the reason the Yankees haven't won a World Series in the 7 years or 8 years he's been here. That is the reality of it. Okay. You can blame Cashman all you want, but his poor managing, it wasn't just tonight. This is how it's been. Tonight was just really kind of the eyes opening, the glass shattering, us realizing, wow, he's getting worse as the season goes on.
Wait, who do you think realized that though?
Well, I mean, you and I, but I mean, you.
I've been knowing this. Let's be very clear about what I've said about Aaron Boone. I said, I believe Aaron Boone is incapable of winning a title in large part because when the games get difficult and nitpicky, he cannot make the correct decisions, whether it be building rosters in key games, whether it be pulling starters when they need to be pulled. And this isn't me picking on him. I've given him credit about this very topic before, but his overall body of work when pulling starters, poor. Utilization of relievers, poor. General managers calling up prospects, right? Trying to manipulate draft picks, which is why everyone keeps saying, why isn't Jason Dominguez up here? It's because the Yankees are trying to manipulate draft picks. That's why. Oh, so if you want to know an answer,
I have something for you there.
Sure.
Colton Cowser is going to win the Rookie of the Year because they're not playing Austin Wells. Austin Wells, if they cared about draft picks, Austin Wells would be in there every day. Austin Wells would have won Rookie of the Year over Luis Gil, and that would have been that. Austin Wells would have won the Yankees a first-round pick. That's the compensatory thing, right? Well, Colton Cowser is running away with it now. Gil's injured, so he's probably not going to pitch the next game or two games from now or whatever.
Okay.
And Austin Wells doesn't play every day. How can I give Rookie of the Year to a catcher that isn't even going to play 120 games? That's what they're going to say.
I don't think they thought, to be honest with you, I think they thought Jose Trevino was a better player than Austin Wells.
Well, they're idiots.
Right, but that's what I'm
yeah.
telling you. So that's when it comes to the race of rookie of the year and putting Austin Wells in position to give it an attempt,
But that's
right?
the irony, though. That's the irony, is that like they're sitting there like, well, we can't bring Jason Dominguez up because we're thinking about a draft pick. Dude, that kid probably isn't even going to sign, if we're being honest.
Should they wait for Jason Dominguez to be 29 so he has the best chance possible to win Rookie of the Year?
No, they lose him in the five rule draft.
They should wait until Jason Dominguez is almost Rule 5'd when he's like 24 and then bring him up and try to make sure he wins Rookie. He wouldn't win Rookie of the Year anyway because I'm just sure it wouldn't shake out. Karma comes after you when you play the game this way. This is why, by the way, Baltimore called up. Remember when everyone said, "Oh,
do you think the Nationals win that World Series without Juan Soto? If they went the same way,
well, I mean that's obvious.
The Yankees have gone with Jason Dominguez.
I mean that's just an obvious answer.
So I mean, do you not think Jason Dominguez can be that Juan Soto, like the young up and coming guy for this lineup in October? I'm not even convinced he's going to get called up. I don't think they're that smart. I still, to this day, I'm still wondering. Like we've talked about, oh yeah, he could get called up in the Boston series, and okay, I could see it, but I'm not ruling out the possibility that they roll with these guys. Like I'm not ruling out the possibility that a guy like Oswaldo Cabrera doesn't even play in the postseason. I'm not ruling out the possibility that they keep John Birdie off the roster for DJ LeMahieu. I'm not.
Winning the World Series isn't the ultimate goal. Do you remember what I told you the ultimate goal was for this organization? And by the way,
to sell chicken buckets.
No, it's actually not, because they're going to sell chicken buckets, whether or not anyone who watches this podcast is going to be at Yankee Stadium or not, because Yankee Stadium's a tourist attraction. Let's be clear. Yeah. You don't need any of you, not one of you. They don't need one of you to be watching this team.
Everyone that's watching this has bought a chicken bucket at one point.
Anybody. When you fly into New York, you think about Madison Square Garden. I want to go see the Statue of Liberty. I want to go see the Yankees play. You don't think about the Mets or any of these other teams. You don't think about that. You think about the Yankees. So you go to the Yankees. What do you think? They're going into the team shop and they're going to buy Aaron Judge's jersey and never go to another game. You think Hal Steinbrenner cares what we think about this team? He doesn't give a rat's. He doesn't care at all. Would he like to win if he could choose it? Sure.
More than, Cashman and Boone.
Oh, I don't think so.
But I don't think it's that much. I don't think it's that much.
You really think Hal Steinbrenner cares?
I think Hal Steinbrenner cares more than Cashman and Boone about winning.
Yeah, then that's probably marginal, like you said.
But
remember, their job, Brian Cashman's job, and this was explained by Yes.
But why do we act like this is so shocking? I mean, the Lakers are a fantastic organization for the majority of the NBA, and now they're a dumpster fire, absolute dumpster fire. No one wants to play there. They didn't sign one single person in the offseason, not one. No one wants to go there. Yeah, but the explanation
is that they're good. Like, they're good enough where they go to the playoffs every year. That's what was explained by Yes. I promise you. This was said. I'm not talking about anyone's back. They explained to us, well, Brian Cashman has had a lot of winning seasons, and look at payrolls across baseball. The Mets have paid a lot of money and they don't always win, right? So Brian's doing something right. That's what they've sold us. So let's be clear about that. They're trying to compare us to the Baltimore Orioles. Well, technically, guys, it's not a disappointment because we're just a half game behind Baltimore. Well, Baltimore, here's some math for you. They paid $107 million on players this year. Did they tank for first-round draft picks? Yes. So that's a little bit skewed, but they still are spending $107 million. And Corbin Burns is off the roster this year. So why is it that this is acceptable to be marginally better than Baltimore? To which, by the way, I said Baltimore is a better team than us. I said this at the beginning of the year. They're a better team. Can we beat them? Absolutely. Absolutely. I thought the Dodgers last year or the Braves, I thought they were better teams than the Diamondbacks. And yet the Diamondbacks go to the World Series. You can win in this sport. But why is it in this many years, 15 years in a row, the Yankees have never once as being a team with a shot? They always say we have a chance. How is it that you can walk through the door at a casino, say, I've got a shot to win tonight, and you're 0 for 15?
And then
How
you
is
sit
that
there
possible
and
that
you
you
got to
have
keep
that bad of
grinding.
luck? You're that bad. You're that down on your luck. Really? Is that what you believe? You should be thrilled that you're coming in with a $300 million budget and we continuously have winning seasons. Of course you have winning seasons. Of course you do.
That's like, you know what that's like? That's like turning off the budgets in MLB, like the video games, and being like, yeah, well, at least I made the playoffs. It's like, what do you mean? At least I made the playoffs. Everyone else in the league, the computer's controlling 30, 29 other teams. Everyone else in the league is abiding by a budget, and you just turned off ignore all budgets. So you
Can
can
I explain
spend
this
whatever
in a
you
movie
want.
fashion and then we'll move on to our next topic? Imagine if I told you that a movie made $200 million, okay, in the box office. You'd probably, from the outside looking in, you'd go, that's pretty good. $200 million, that's a lot of money. But what if I told you that movie was The Flash and their budget was $260 million? What if I told you that? Is it still a success now?
Nope.
Now that you've lost $60 million? Is it still a success? No, it's not. It's actually on a list as number 6 biggest flops of all time. A movie that made $200 million worldwide.
I'm surprised
And
they
they call it a
200
flop.
million.
Yeah, you're surprised it made $200 million. But my point here is that yes, you can talk about profits and you can talk about wins all you want, postseason berths, but what you spend matters. And the job of Brian Cashman is made much easier by spending. I'm not one of those fans who's like a Padres fan, or not a Padres fan, but a Diamondbacks fan. I'm like, look at, we do it with a small budget, or the A's, and you guys spend $300 million, so you guys get to hog all the World Series. No,
It doesn't matter.
no, I don't
Win.
care about that. That's your problem. Go win. But we're in this situation. I need to judge you based on what you've built with this payroll. And so whether or not someone who listens to this show, you think it's Aaron Boone, he's the problem, because you actually mentioned that. You think Aaron Boone's a huge problem in this whole equation, right? And I
would
agree
call
with
him
you.
the problem right now. The problem.
Yeah, I don't
Straight
like
up.
using the language the. I don't like using it. And the reason I say that is because when I say you're the problem, it suggests to me that these other people have done anywhere close to enough to where it's a layup for you and you're the sole problem. Like as if
That's fair.
if we had a
That's
good
fair.
manager, we would win the World Series this year. Like we would probably go win the World Series. I don't believe that. I think the Yankees came up short in terms of personnel. I do. And they have prospects they're choosing not to use who are their best options. They're choosing not to.
And that's on Cashman.
That's on Cashman. But so that's why I say they're all part of the problem. Right now, just the biggest problem is Aaron Boone and what he's doing with this roster, because it's ridiculous. Just with the guys on the, spare me Jason Dominguez, get him out of the equation. I don't care. Tell me about the guys in the clubhouse right now. You cannot tell me that a player that we all know is our starting catcher in Austin Wells. He's one of the best catchers in the big leagues right now. He sat 3 of the last 4 contests. Why? Because we faced a lefty. And here's a quote for you. Absolutely blasphemous. Okay. They said, and this is a quote, "We want to be clear that we aren't platooning Wells and Trevino, but Trevino will get in the mix predominantly against left-handers." If I don't, what is a platoon?
I mean, it's
You are going to play
based
predominantly against this side pitcher,
Yeah.
lefty pitchers. Then what is a platoon that I don't know about? It's despicable. Trevino played 3 of the last 4 days because there was a lefty on the mound. That's what happened.
Can we like ban platoon from being used on this show? Makes me think of a pontoon, like the boat.
I would love to.
I'm so tired. I mean, Gary, I've been very consistent about a few things for a long time in my whole time watching baseball. I hate platooning. I hate lefty righty matchups. I hate it. I think it's overrated. I think these players, they go out there and they perform, or they don't. I think it's an excuse. Oh, I can't hit lefties. Well, I think that's on you. I mean, the best hitters can hit them both.
Well, what if Trevino doesn't hit lefties and he hits righties instead? What if he's hitting 208? What if I told you that? He's hitting 208.
He is. We talked about this. Remember the last episode? We talked about this. Like, oh, yeah, Boone's telling us, yeah, well, whatever. Trevino. Here's the thing. If you are going to sit Wells, first off, you're an idiot. You're a moron, okay? If you're sitting Wells, who's been elite the last 30 games. He's been elite for the Yankees. If you're sitting him to put in Trevino, then Trevino splits against left-handed bats or left-hand pitching. He needs to be hitting 300. He needs to look like Ty Cobb. I'm sorry. Like, there's no other way. But also, this is where Boone drives me insane, because even if you want to use Trevino at catcher for whatever reason, and by the way, he's not as good as Austin Wells at anything. He's not better than Austin Wells at anything anymore. He's not. Miss me with the platinum glove. That's not even the same catcher that we've seen this year as opposed to last year. I don't care. But the point I'm making here is that Aaron Boone, as we've talked ad nauseum, could still have Wells DH, could still have Wells play first base. Okay? I mean, DJ LeMahieu's playing first base. He's been terrible there. Why are we not talking about that?
He's a bad defensive first baseman.
He's not a good first baseman. No. I don't know why he's good at third. I don't give a rip. You can't that's not how it works. You can't just say a guy's good defensively and just assume he can play everywhere. Just because he physically can move over to first base and have a first base glove on and actually play the first base position doesn't mean he's a good first baseman.
Wait, but I thought we were putting guys at first base as an experiment, because most often when I see someone gets moved to first base, that's you telling me, defensively, he's not getting it done in this other position, but he hits.
Yeah, Bryce Harper, LeMahieu is literally the opposite of that.
Bryce Harper, yeah, he's in right field. We need Castellanos out there. We need this guy out there. We're going to move Harper to first base. Why? Well, we think he can handle it and he'll learn on the fly. We think he can handle it, right? But here's the thing that's not negotiable: what he does in the batter's box. What's non-negotiable about DJ LeMahieu? DJ LeMahieu's a 200 hitter on his best day. He has no pop. What first baseman in Major League Baseball history was winning titles with 2 home runs in a 180 at-bat span? The starting first baseman for your team against the best team in the American League this year, in the Cleveland Guardians, you put out DJ LeMahieu as your first baseman, and your backup, when healthy, is Anthony Rizzo. What?
So there's been 126 games played. Okay. So that's 36 games remaining.
Okay.
On the season. 36 games. Austin Wells can't play 36 games at catcher at age 25, but Anthony Volpe can play almost the entire season at shortstop. What are we doing? That. I mean, we had an episode where we brought that up as well, where all these top catchers he's played 86 games. He's projected to play 111. He won't even get to 120 at this pace. Gary, that is absolutely insane. And by the way, that is on, and he just turned 25 in July, by the way, but that's on Boone. This is the shit I'm talking about. It's on Boone. Get this. Versus left-hand pitching, the Yankees are 13-20. Do you know why? I'll tell you why. It's very simple. Oh, there's not a lot of lefties out there. The Yankees are ill-equipped. Miss me with that. The Yankees are ill-equipped at manager. Aaron Boone overdoes everything. He micromanages the lineups. The lineups aren't a conundrum. He's found a few combinations. What's his contract
situation, by the way? What's Aaron Boone's situation contractually? Do we know this?
I mean, I don't know if they're open about that. Do they report that normally?
They should report it. Everything is essentially reported. And the reason I bring this up is because I already know the way our audience's brain works, and they're going to, I'm sure of it,
he has a club option in 2025. So they could,
so he could be
very
gone
well. They don't even have to fire him. They could just say, yeah, we're not going to pick up the club option.
Oh, I have the best thing ever to bring up. So this is something that's been brought out against Brian Cashman. It's been brought on and as a positive, right? And this is blasphemous. Okay.
Oh God.
Brian Cashman, Aaron Boone. Okay. Those two men, those two individuals it's been said, and I'm not going to say who said it because everybody will know who said it when I say this, is, well, if we let them go, people are going to be rushing to hire them as a reason as to why the Yankees shouldn't get rid of these people. That's what was said to us. Let's remember something real quick. When it comes to your sloppy seconds, your leftovers, your trash, and somebody else wants it, right? Didn't we get rid of Joey Gallo, who was essentially the worst player we've ever seen in our entire adult lives? Didn't another team give him $10 million to come play baseball the following year?
Yeah,
Did that matter to anybody? It didn't, did it? So let's be clear. It doesn't matter if Brian Cashman or Aaron Boone lands on their feet. Remember Aaron Boone, if we didn't resign him, if we didn't bring him back 2 years ago, he was the manager of the Padres. Let's not forget it. He would be the manager of the San Diego Padres. They would be dealing with this level of incompetence. He'd be doing terrible over there. Okay? Because this is baseball. It doesn't change. Baseball is the same. It doesn't matter where you play. You can go play in Japan. You can play in New York. Bad managers will find ways to screw up games. It just is what it is. So I don't care if Brian Cashman's seen around baseball as a good general manager because he's a professional at mitigating risk and maintaining 93 win seasons. If that's good enough for these other organizations to have a puncher's chance in October and never win in 15 years, by all means, hire him. I will root for you to hire him because it has nothing to do with my organization. But I want more. I want somebody who has the pedigree, and I actually believe they can build something worth watching. That we're covering this in hopes that we can talk people through a process that, okay, we see a solution here, and we walk people towards that solution, and we hope it happens. We're trying to speak it into existence. We don't have any impact, okay? We're not here ignorant to that fact. They're not making roster decisions based on what Yankees Unloaded says. Okay? So what matters is that if you're not going to put players on the field that can win a championship, but you can put players on a field that's going to help us win 91 games, and I'm supposed to believe that's really cool because the Reds never get to do it, I don't care about that.
Oh,
I'm here to tell you right now, you can call me spoiled, you can call me whatever, but I promise you this, if I go to Cincinnati and buy chicken nuggets, it won't cost me $30. So it is what it is.
And it's BS. Are we going to act like the Royals, you know, they didn't win and then, oh, look at that. Not that long later, Royals are back. I'm not saying they're the best team in the league, but the way this league is turning out, the Royals have a shot. And
they have a shot. We have a shot. So what's the difference?
Exactly. They're spending way less money. They have an actual superstar at shortstop. You know, I mean, it is what it is. Moving on though, because I mean, we could go on all day. You guys know our thoughts. Wells needs to. He's an everyday player. I mean, stop with this Trevino nonsense. It is ridiculous. And the people that are defending Trevino, stop regurgitating everything you see on the internet, please. It just, when you look at the splits, it's not even up for debate. But
that's a bad ball player.
It's not good. So speaking of bad, Aaron Boone in-game managing, not good.
Oh, you want to talk about tonight's in-game managing? What he did today?
Yeah, I mean, unless you have, I mean, if we turn this into like a docu-series where, you know, we did just a 10-hour event or something, then maybe we can, you know, do everything.
No, can we talk about the Jose Ramirez experience? Because I really want to walk everybody.
We can talk about it whatever you want. We have plenty of stuff to talk. To your point with Aaron Boone tonight, I have never seen such poor managing. There's so many things. Whether you want to talk about the pinch hitting of Peraza, who was one of the only guys in this game that was actually able to get a hit, instead of LeMahieu, who went, checks notes, 0 for 5, and they put Cabrera in for Peraza. Had they done that for LeMahieu, which, by the way, Cabrera's actually played first base before. Can we please let him play first when Jazz comes back, for the love of God? But anyway, had they actually pinch hit LeMahieu, they pinch hit Cabrera for LeMahieu, he would have been up, and that big fly ball with 2 outs is a big fly ball with 1 out, and the Yankees have a 4-3 lead. Instead, he comes up, he has a great quality out, except there's already 2 outs because LeMahieu pissed away his at-bat. That's just one thing. Another thing we could talk about, it's like you just mentioned, Jose Ramirez, 2-0, a batter 212 hitting, behind him. And when you have the announcer of the New York Yankees saying, yeah, you should probably walk him. No, he didn't even say that. He said when they got to 2-0, he thought they were walking him. He's like, oh, yeah, so they're pitching around him, like, trying to make sense of it. And he's like, I don't even know why they did that. Like,
did you see the alignment of the defense? Let's be clear about something.
Good God.
The Yankees were standing in double play depth. Okay. Let's all laugh about this here for a second. The Cleveland Guardians were hitting with Jose Ramirez in a hitter's count, 2-0 count. Okay. The Yankees, who were in a shift, so they weren't going to be able, they weren't going to be able to hold the guy on. So they were giving up second base to be stolen. Okay.
It was second and third. Like, what is the point of double play depth there?
No, but like my point here is that when you're talking about a player like Jose Ramirez, this is how you know it's bad. Okay, here's your conclusion. Everybody says this about Michael Kay, and I like to defend Michael Kay a bit here. And people say that all these guys at Yes are corporate shills. They never criticize, right? They try and stay away from it. And what's so funny about it was that after this play where Michael Kay clearly was saying, what's happening with this situation? Why are we not walking Ramirez? After contact was made and the ball was still rolling in the outfield grass, Michael Kay, and I quote, said, that made no sense. Don't you know Michael Kay understands every word he says is analyzed? He knows this. When you say that made no sense, that's you deliberately saying Aaron Boone made a mistake on live television. That's what he said. That's a huge mistake. Just a mistake. He didn't say, I wonder what he was thinking. And then later, Aaron Boone could kind of talk us through his mentality on what he was doing there. No. Michael Kay, and Michael Kay knows baseball. He's been around with the Yankees since 1992. That's 31 years. He knows baseball. He saw and thought about every situation. He felt comfortable enough in that moment to say, wow, that was awful. That made no sense. And he's right. It made no sense whatsoever. There were no benefits. In most cases, when you see a manager make a mistake, because we've seen it all the time, Dave Roberts, all these different managers, right? Leave a pitcher in too long. We know what their mind was telling them. They wanted to squeeze an extra out of the big name starter, and it fails, right? We see where they were going with that mistake. This is a mistake. It was almost like Aaron Boone didn't care or know who was on deck or who was hitting. We say fireable offense. This is just little league BS. This is something that when you've got the coach's son hitting and you've got the coach down the third base line telling him what to do, these are the type of mistakes you see. Just someone who doesn't know baseball, and Aaron Boone knows baseball. So I don't know how this is possible of a mistake I have to explain on the show.
How many times I've said third generation major leaguer? What are we doing? I mean, Tyler Freeman, you had a gift. Josh Naylor is a dangerous hitter in that situation because if you walk Ramirez, the bases are loaded for Josh Naylor who can take you deep. But earlier in the game, or later in the game, they ended up pinch running him for Tyler. It's now Tyler Freeman
nullifying that whole threat.
Exactly. Now Tyler Freeman, your third hitter, is now a 213 hitter. So if you walk, you're already 2-0. Ramirez is probably assuming they're going to walk him at that point. And then he gets one right down the plate and is like, all right, bet. And Ramirez went 1 for 6 today. But that one hit was a big one. And here's the thing. If they had walked him and Tyler Freeman comes up, and I know they ended up walking Freeman not on purpose, just, because
we couldn't throw strikes today.
Yeah. Well, I do think it changes everything, though, because if you walk Ramirez, now you're purposely trying to get Freeman to ground out. Right. Completely different approach. You get him to ground into a double play, and guess what? It is a 4-5 ball game, or 4-3 ball game. Aaron Judge doubles to center to score Torres and Cabrera in the bottom of that inning, and the Yankees.
Who was pitching at the moment?
That was, I think that was Tonkin, I want to say.
So what are we really complaining about? If we'd done it right, where we walk Ramirez, we give up a grand slam, let's say. Worst case scenario, okay?
If you give up a grand slam to Tyler Freeman, then you just weren't going to win.
Right, so we're blaming the reliever. This is what good managers do. When you put everybody in the correct position, you walk the guys who are supposed to be obviously walked, right? You start the guys who are obviously supposed to be starting. That way, when a player is playing awful, we start blaming the player. Remember when Joey Gallo came to the Yankees and we said, man, we weren't talking about Aaron Boone. We were talking about Joey Gallo, how bad he was. Yeah. Aaron Hicks, we were talking about how bad he was. Okay. We weren't talking about Boone. And then eventually people said, hey, Boone shouldn't be playing these guys. They're awful. And then they got off the field and were cut. So that's just where we are. Make the players ruin the game. And if you are going to tell me, yeah, our guys in our bullpen can't get Freeman out after Jose Ramirez, well, then now I can turn my head to Brian Cashman and say, why didn't you get another reliever we could trust to get this out? Why is it? How is that possible? How is it that Mark Leiter Jr. can't go get this out? Or it doesn't matter who, right? Miza, any of them. Why can't they get this out? I can blame somebody else. But bad managers make it about them. This was on Aaron Boone. He lost us this game deliberately. It was horrible. We didn't have as good of a chance as we should have starting the game with the lineup we had. Okay? We started bringing guys off the bench who should have been starters. Is what it is. But now that that's been done, what do you do with those players on the field? Is he a chess master and he's moving guys around the field and plug and play? No. He's getting the least amount out of these guys that you could ever imagine. He's pulling guys that make no sense. He's pinch hitting guys, platooning guys that doesn't make sense. He's platooning guys against lefties who don't hit lefties. So what's a such thing as a platoon if a guy doesn't know how to hit a lefty? It doesn't exist. He's only playing because he's a right-handed hitter. So you end up with this lineup, and then you ask, why are we doing these? Like, why are we pinch hitting this player for that player? By that point, it's too late. It's too late. We've lost the game. Our karma suggests this should be the result. You play really good teams, you make stupid lineups, you win stupid prizes. So my whole point here, I guess, is that since you brought up the Yankees have a club option, I think that's important. But how important is it really? Don't the Yankees, if we win 93 games, we go through a wild card, we get into the division series, we go to game 7 or game 6, game 7 and lose. Does anyone really feel confident that Aaron Boone will be dismissed? Does anybody feel confident Brian Cashman will be on his way out? I don't.
No, I don't. And the thing that bothers me about a game like this is obviously Luis Gil, he suffers a lower back stiffness. He's taken out 6 walks, just not really like him at all. He just totally did not have command. So they deemed it was injury related. They took him out. Tim Hill comes in. Yeah, he gives up 2 hits and a walk, but no runs. Gives him 2 innings right off the rip. So Hill could only get through 3. Now you just got 2 out of Tim Hill. Mark Leiter Jr. comes in, shows maybe some potential. Like, okay, he's not a late inning guy, but maybe he can give you a 5, a 6, a 7. He looked really good. 2 strikeouts, right? Then you have Luke Weaver come in, right? He has a hit. He gives up a hit, but he also strikes a guy out. Canely comes in. You know, he walks the batter, but he looks good. Clay Holmes strikes out the side. Okay? So then you have Jake Cousins.
Look, I just saw Bigfoot.
Jake Cousins, I thought was, and we have to talk about this because that was gutsy. That was a gutsy performance. I feel for him because he should have gotten the win. I mean, they threw him in there. They're like, you're our only hope. And he gave him 2 innings. He got into some trouble with some walks. He gave up a hit, but he got out of it. He had 2 strikeouts. He's now got an ERA because of that, 1.95. He's right now It's him and Canely, 1.69 for Canely, 1.95 for Cousins. Those are the best guys in the bullpen. Tim Meza, that pitch caught a little bit too much plate. He's still trying to figure it out. He's kind of the reclamation project. They can easily move him down to AAA if it doesn't work out. I'm not going to get too much on him because I don't think he's been horrible, and he hasn't been up very long. Tonkin's pitched himself off this roster as far as I'm concerned. Ian Hamilton today took a bullpen at the stadium, okay? Ian Hamilton will be back soon. You have Scott Efros, who's starting to pitch well in AAA. They've been waiting on that. Nick Birdie, right? So those are three guys. Ron Marinaccio. I don't even know. Games like today, I don't know why they don't keep Yoendris Gomez, who can pitch 5 innings, like out of the bullpen. Like I don't understand that.
You know, when you just named all those players who are slated to return, I just, for whatever reason,
and Lou Trevino, but I'm not interested in him.
Yeah, so it kind of back to the point. You even listing all those people who are really just pieces, just a bunch of pieces.
Ian Hamilton has a chance to be really good, but the hope is that
I don't care about chance. Tell me about the players who I expect to be good. Ian Hamilton, I don't expect to be good. I don't expect Nick Birdie. Do I expect him to show up and be this like? Yeah, he's never healthy. Never. What's my expectation? Am I supposed to get excited about Lou Trevino?
No.
I'm not excited about
Marinaccio, though. I mean, he's pitched really well this year. I don't know why he's not in. I don't know why.
But I'm not excited about any of those names. None of them.
Well, I mean, I don't get excited for bullpen pitchers normally. Jake Cousins.
Right. So like all these helpers that we have are just mid relievers that if at best case scenario, they can be productive. Well, guess what? It's August. These are postseason games. When you're neck and neck, you're talking about a 1 game gap between half a game gap between you and the next team for first place for a division. These are going to be playoff games. Am I looking at, I want to see Lou Trevino and Ian Hamilton. I'm looking forward to the impact they'll have on the race. No.
No. Lou Trevino, he's the absolute worst because when, you take out a reliever or you take out a starting pitcher and they have guys on base, he's not going to inherit those runs. So Trevino just gives those up all the time. Every time I've ever watched him, that's what he does. So I'm not exactly thrilled about him. I am somewhat optimistic about Efros, but my thing is, I still think it's very simple. Okay, Yoendris Gomez offers a 5-inning, I'd say even 6-inning ceiling out of the bullpen. That's a weapon. You can use that. We've already seen it. He should be on this team. I don't know why he's not. And Ron Marinaccio is the same thing. Those two guys should be on this team. And I would I would send Kaylee down to AAA, so you have to DFA him. And I wouldn't be against DFAing Meza. I like him. I like his stuff. I like the prospect there. But they need bullpen help in the worst way. They can't just wait for him to figure this out.
They need manager help. Does it matter who's coming out? Does it really matter?
I mean,
I almost feel like the Yankees had to acquire Mason Miller or like Emmanuel Clase to actually give up on their closer. And what's crazy is that they even would have. No, but they actually think it's like a feather in their cap to not remove someone from their role. Like they actually think that this is like a character trait. It's not. You know what it looks like? It is a character trait, I guess. It's called idiocy. When somebody is consistently bad at their job and let's just say you're the boss of a company and somebody is really bad at the role that you put them in. They're bad at it consistently. They've been bad for 4 months in a row.
And you don't take them out of it.
And you don't take them out. Well, you know what? They go from being a bad player to you're a bad boss. You don't know what you're doing. And so that's where we are. So I don't really care about any. I totally understand what you're saying because like you're talking about the talent, right? The talent. Yeah. This guy has the talent to do X, Y.
That's all you can really say when it comes to bullpen guys because they're hit or miss. I mean, let's be honest.
But what does it matter if our manager won't agree to pitch the best possible option in the 9th inning? He thinks he told us that. He didn't. He said the bulk of the 9th inning is going to be Holmes. That's what he said. But then at the same time, he said the opposite. He then said, we're going to play matchups. That's two opposite things. If you were playing matchups, you wouldn't commit to one person in the 9th inning. Those are just two opposite sayings. So that's why I say we're being deliberately lied to by our manager. I don't give a rip if it's Trevino, if it's whoever, if it's gonna be Hamilton out the bullpen coming from put him in the pen, all this crap. It doesn't matter, because when your manager doesn't know how to handle starters, why should I care about marginal helpers in the bullpen? They don't matter.
Well,
we don't know that we have a star catcher. We have a catcher who has the ability to go win. He doesn't now, but he has the talent to go win Rookie of the Year. He could have hit 20 homers this year and hit 250. And the Yankees took that away from him because they're smarter than us. That's what they're telling us. So why would I think that the Yankees are going to be like, oh, I see this talented kid or talented prospect in the system, we're going to use him and propel ourselves into an October run? I would love to believe that talent will just mean success. But if you've got a chef with really good ingredients that has no idea how to cook, it doesn't matter. It does not matter.
There's so many things that frustrate me about this team. They went 1 for 16, by the way, in runners in scoring position.
Seems bad.
LeMahieu, Verdugo, and Torres combined for 0 for 7. Grisham, you add that, it's 0 for 9.
Okay.
Judge is the only one who came through, although Wells gave it a ride both times, almost had a home run twice. It's almost like they should have started him.
They can't handle these 25.
I know. Look at Luis Gil for a second, okay? Gary, I'm going to give you some options. Who do you think is going to ultimately replace him if this is a legit IL stint, which I think it's going to be? Clark Schmidt won't be back until, I think they said, like late September. So I don't, but I guess he's an option if you think it goes.
Wasn't Poteet getting closer?
Cody Poteet had a rehab start today. Looked really good.
Okay, so I think it's Poteet. There's my answer.
Okay, so you think, how quickly do you think Poteet can get back to the bigs?
I think they skip a start with Gil. I think they skip a start, and then I'm going to assume he shows up late for his next start. So I'm going to assume Gil's gone for essentially 2 times around the rotation. Mm-hmm. Poteet is going to take that second start.
So what about Will Warren? I wanted to mention this because we talked about this off air. Will Warren was optioned on August 15th. Okay. He can't return by the rules until August 30th unless he goes on IL. Okay. If he goes on the IL, they can bring him back up. Where are you on Will Warren? Like, I mean, I didn't hate his last outing. I thought was pretty solid.
I think he stinks,
but I'm not really like going crazy about him either. I think
I don't want him to pitch at all.
Poteet is kind of the not sexy, just gets it done type of pitcher that I like. I like power pitchers. Don't get me wrong, but right. I'll watch Garrett Cole. I'll wait my 5 days and watch Garrett Cole power pitch, and when Rodon is on and when Gil's on, okay, cool. But I just want outs. And
I just don't think Will Warren is a good enough pitcher, and that's nothing personal. There are a lot of guys in the minor leagues that I don't talk about that if they came up in conversation, it would force me to say, I don't think they're good enough to pitch for the Yankees in August.
Yeah.
Will Warren is not a good enough pitcher to pitch for the Yankees in August, injury or not. And if you hope that he is the best option, then you should have done something at the deadline. That's what do 2 things there.
I think the hope with Will Warren is that you kind of look at Clark Schmidt and you see some similarities there, and you're like, Clark Schmidt was not great when he came up. Like, he was not at all. He did not move the needle or anything.
No, he wasn't great, but he was he was mid. Will Warren's ERA in the minor leagues was 8.8.
No, I know.
You know what I mean? It's like,
no, I hear
they're
you
not
there.
The same.
But I do think, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, do you try to figure it out? I mean, I think it's next year's problem, Also, last but not least here, Hector Noesi was DFA'd by the Cubs, had some really good savant numbers in 2023. This year, he's been what Cubs fans that I've talked to have called their Clay Holmes. So
yeah, I can tell. Yeah, they're Clay Holmes with a negative 1.9 WAR. His ERA is 5.51.
So there were people that are like, I want him.
What?
I wouldn't be against if he makes it through waivers. I wouldn't be against signing him, but you'd be inheriting a lot of money there, and he's just not pitching well enough to be worth that. But I
Wait,
would
am
also
I looking at the right player here?
Hector Noesi.
Yeah, right. The player with the 5.51 ERA.
Oh, my bad. There's Hector Neris. Hector Neris. There's Hector Noesi and Hector Neris. I think they both were actually in the Yankees farm system at one point. Neris has a 3.89 ERA.
I don't give a rip about Hector Neris.
So
don't care at all.
So you wouldn't bring him in?
Nope.
You see
I wouldn't. Yep. No, I see him. I see a whip of 1.52 is what I see. So
yeah. So I just wanted to address that though, because
let's do it.
Because I wouldn't be against bringing him in, but it would have to come at the cost of he passes through waivers, right?
Right.
And then the Yankees just sign him to probably a minor league contract or something cheap. You know what I mean? Now, Hector Neris is probably going to have a lot of interest because he's a big name and, he's pitched well.
He's 35. He definitely he could pitch in a bigger game. He's not going to freak out. This isn't like a Rule 5 player.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But at the same time, this is a guy who is owed $9 million. Okay. So if you claim that, now you're paying him $9 million at age 35. So I just don't think so that's what I would say. I'm not against adding Neris, but I am against claiming him.
Well, he's already unclaimed. He already went through waivers.
No, he was just DFA'd.
Yeah, well, it said on 8/20 the Cubs are releasing veteran reliever Hector Neris.
That was yesterday.
ESPN's Jesse Rogers. The team already passed Neris through waivers without making a formal announcement of the move. He went unclaimed. It's exactly what it says.
It's so funny because I'm so glad you brought that up. That is literally MLB waivers in a nutshell. No one knows how the process works at all.
No, so he was unclaimed. So now technically he's a cheap option, which again, like I've told you before, at best, you think Hector Neris could be better than some guys in our bullpen. And I think you can accurately make that assumption. But again, guys, I just don't know if the captain of the ship, I don't know if it matters. I think we need to focus on what really matters. And I just don't think right now it's bullpen. I just don't. I just think right now it's who's starting.
Well,
who's starting for the Yankees
is the biggest concern right now because Luis Gil, whether you realize it or not, has been their ace for the majority of the year. Okay, I know we got Garrett Cole looking like he's back. He has to show it consistently, but Luis Gil was there when Garrett Cole wasn't, and now he's injured, potentially. Right. I mean, it's the Yankees too, man. We've talked about this. I don't trust the Yankees. I don't trust the Yankees at all. I don't trust this lower back stiffness. That sounds to me like it's IL. That sounds to me like it could be until the end of September. Okay.
Yeah, because based on what he did against Chicago and then in this start, I think the Yankees for sure are skipping a start. Regardless of what they tell us, I think it's a guarantee that Luis Gil will not pitch in his next go around the rotation. That's just my guess. So you have to really convince me. What do the Yankees have to make sure we have a chance to go win this division, starting wise? Who's starting these games? I just don't know. Like, Rodon is the most inconsistent player ever. He was awful his last time out. Okay, Garrett Cole's starting to show something. Marcus Stroman had a nice start his last time out there, but he's been wildly inconsistent. Cody Poteet is on his way back. He's on rehab assignment, right? Schmidt's nowhere close. So it's like,
it would be Yuendris Gomez, by the way, who starts in AAA. And it'd be like an opener. And to me, a guy that can give you... but he could give you 5 innings, maybe even 6, and he's not a bad pitcher. I don't know why he's not up. He had success. Remember that game? He pitched 5 innings and he gave up no runs. I don't know what they're doing. I truthfully, I really try to understand. I thought the Tim Mesa pickup was very sneaky. It was savvy. Get him in on a minor league deal. Try to figure him out. I thought it was potentially a good move to go out and get Mark Leiter Jr. We talked about his stuff. We did a video on him. I did not understand the De Los Santos pickup at all. They do stuff like that where I'm just left scratching my head. And then they find guys like Jake Cousins, who it's like, oh, I really like that move. I mean, let's be honest here. Jake Cousins was the best pickup they had all year. Like, he's been exactly what they needed in the bullpen. And it didn't start off so great, but he went to AAA, figured out whatever the hell he needed to figure out, and now he's been an absolute stud. So as far as starting pitching, because that's really the issue here, they don't really have a lot of guys. It's really Will Warren, who is not eligible unless it's an IL stint until the 30th. Poteet, if you rush him, you could probably get him in 2 weeks.
That seems like it would be a mistake.
That would be a mistake.
What team has won a World Series, by the way, that considered themselves wildly thin in the rotation towards the end of the season? Do you know many teams that have done that?
I mean, off the top of my head, no, but that doesn't mean no one's done it before.
Yeah, it doesn't mean no one's done it. But when you say it doesn't mean no one's done it, it's probably implying someone's done it, but not very many teams.
No, I don't think it's a common thing. But I also think
we're trying to do something that's uncommon.
Season. You know, it's a 162 game season, and you have to be ready for this. And the Yankees, they identified that, hey, we should probably go out and get another starter. And Jack Flaherty was available, and basically Boone balked at it because he got scared away by the back thing.
He said it wasn't that.
No, that's the thing. So he got scared away, but then when they approached him about it, he backed off of that. And he said, no, we just, we couldn't come to an agreement or whatever. And it's
Which is just objectively a bad decision.
So now the Dodgers have him. So
it's just stupid. We don't have enough starting pitching. It's very clear we don't. Nestor Cortez is pitching tomorrow. We don't have enough starting pitching.
And this goes back to, and I understand what you're going to say. I don't mean to
go ahead
discredit the trade. Obviously, I love the trade. The Juan Soto trade, they could have, instead of trading the pitcher that they traded, totally blanking on his name right now. He's on the White Sox. Drew Thorpe. Yeah. He was ready. Like this is when you would need Drew Thorpe. They could have traded Chase Hampton instead. Well, guess what? Now after Chase Hampton's injuries, because by the way, the Padres would have taken Chase Hampton over Drew Thorpe. They didn't want to move Chase Hampton. They had that choice, right? They didn't have to trade them both because they included Michael King. That was why they included Michael King. So it bothered me at the time because I'm like, all right, you might think Chase Hampton's going to be great. Maybe he does end up being great. The biggest issue with Chase Hampton is he's never healthy. And so now with these injuries, guess what? I think it was Baseball America. He's rated lower than Will Warren now in their top.
Will Warren's not good at all, by the way.
So do you see what I'm saying? I know, again, it's not me criticizing the Soto trade. It's me knowing that you could have still kept Drew Thorpe with the Juan Soto trade. And I said it then, and I'm saying it now. Drew Thorpe was the one that they got away. And I'm not saying he's going to be a superstar or anything, but man, they could use him right now. And I don't even care about what his stats are right now. I don't. He is definitely better than Will Warren. And this is what happens. They've traded so much of their farm for kind of mid guys. And they don't really have, I mean, we just talked about it. Who do they have to rely on now? Poteet was a trade, Gary. They didn't develop him. They made a nice scouting thing.
But isn't this what money's for?
It is,
Isn't this why the New York Yankees,
that's
when
what
I
I'm
told you they
saying.
should
If
have
you're gonna,
traded Spencer Jones for Corbin Burns, and everyone said, why would you do that? It's Spencer Jones. I don't care who he is. Spencer Jones is more than likely to be a mediocre baseball player, more than likely. So you get rid of the player. And you know what happens if Corbin Burns walked through the door? On average, he pitches over 200 innings a year. And you know who you're not worried about? You're not worried about your past mistakes, because I'm agreeing with you. It's a mistake.
Yeah.
You ended up getting rid of a player in Drew Thorpe who could have helped you. But guess what? You don't worry about, are the Dodgers worried about losing Yordan Alvarez? No, they've forgotten it. They move on because you make enough positive decisions that help you eventually go win a World Series. But the Yankees do the cheap thing. They do the thing that has no risk. And then they turn around and be like, yeah, I'll give you this prospect, because they basically say you get this guy or you get that guy. There's a huge emphasis on who you ended up picking between Thorpe and Hampton, because you didn't go get the big fish. If you just gotten the big fish, we wouldn't care about Drew Thorpe. I wouldn't care about Drew Thorpe today if the Yankees were like, yeah, let's go get Flaherty or let's go get Snell. We wouldn't care about Drew Thorpe because we would have a backup plan with pedigree, but the Yankees didn't do that. So guess what? When you don't go get the big fish, now there's huge emphasis that you chose the right prospect. And you know what the Yankees never do? Choose the right prospect. Hardly ever. And sometimes they do. They did it with Luis Gil, right? They've done it a couple of times. But more than likely, specifically position player-wise, they never do it right. Never. So that's why I always say, anytime the Yankees are faced with a decision, the answer is usually, not always, usually resides with the big fish. That doesn't come from our organization. It comes from somewhere else. So, they made their bed. Now it's up to Aaron Boone, not Brian Cashman, because now he's on vacation. He's on a yacht somewhere. Okay. He's in the Hamptons. But for us, it's up to us now. We're just going to watch what Aaron Boone does with this roster that's currently in place. We're going to pay attention. When does Jason Dominguez come up for this organization? It's clear as day right now. Alex Verdugo isn't even close to as good of an option as Jason Dominguez. I know they threw him out there as the 27th man against the best pitcher in the AL in Skubal, and they think that might have meant something. It didn't. They told the kid he was going down immediately anyways. Jason Dominguez is a better baseball player than Alex Verdugo. He's a better baseball player than Trent Grisham, obviously. So if they want to get serious about winning, call up the players. Don't tell me about Rookie of the Year. I don't care about it. I don't care about first round picks. You never do anything with them anyway. So go bring me the best players, and let's see if Aaron Boone can get up off the mat, because yesterday's performance, by the time you watch the show, it'll be, I guess we're going to release it right away. So tonight's performance, absolutely dismal across the board. F- performance, completely lost them the game. Start to finish, nothing was good about it.
So I hate to do this, but Drew Thorpe is actually on the IL.
I'm glad. Good. Great.
I mean, I don't want him to be hurt, but I was just like,
he could have done that with us.
I know. Well, the point still stands, because I don't make a big deal about these prospects and trading them away and the Joey Gallo trade and all that if they go out and they actually use the money that they have. And I mean, they should have gotten Snell. They had 2 chances to get him and they chose not to.
Flaherty.
Snell has been one of the hottest pitchers in the league. Flaherty has pitched pretty well, I think.
How's Burns doing over there in Baltimore, by the way?
Burns is, as good as anybody.
Interesting.
So, and then they had, I mean, I can't even really hate on them for it, because you and I both called out Garrett Crochet for that weird, I need a contract before I pitch in the
it was bad, 100%.
But they probably should have made that deal, because I mean, he's a 25-year-old arm there, one of the best pitchers in the league. They've had a lot of opportunities and they've just totally, it's frustrating for sure. And, I don't mean to just, beat a dead horse with Drew Thorpe. I brought him up a few times, but it's frustrating because, right now, this is what the minor leagues are for. It's not just developing pitchers and developing hitters that are for the future. It's also your next line of defense. So when I have a rotation that's ravaged with injuries, and I'm going to say it, Gary, they're ravaged with injuries. They have 3 starting pitchers now that are hurt. Garrett Cole was hurt the majority of the year. I don't care what anyone says. That's ravaged. So
was Poteet supposed to be in a rotation though when we started the season based on the rotation that we built?
No, but I mean, he was the next.
Who was in the rotation? Yeah, so he was a backup plan. So like, I don't even count Poteet. I really don't. I don't even count him as a pitcher.
But I mean, even your backup plan was hurt. So like, the point I'm making is that like you traded for him. The whole purpose of AAA, double, whatever, it's that, that next line of defense. Like, even though, yes, they're developing, yes, I can bring them up. They can be, part of the future. They can also help now. We've seen it before. I mean, they brought up the kids the Yankees did in 2022. It gave them that spark to get up off the mat. It helped them. Oswaldo Cabrera, Oswald Peraza. Those were big call-ups. People complained that Volpe wasn't called up. He got his chance the next year. Now, surprisingly, he's in a better shape than both of them. But the point I'm making, though, is the whole like September call-up thing. That is there essentially as a last line of defense. So now with them trading away these guys and not signing, because you have to do one or the other, that's the issue. So that's what I'll say. If you don't have anything else to say in regards to that, Gary, I do have the worst movie that I could think of off the top of my head.
Let's hear that.
All right. If you made it this far, and this is a longer episode, we've been keeping them shorter, but there's a lot we had to say in this episode. Anyway, if you made it this far, do me a favor, never watch this movie, but drop in the comment section below. Chopping Mall. Not shopping mall, chopping mall. Okay? It is as bad as you would think. It's basically like these robot security mall people, and they just murder these teens. It's so low budget. It's terrible. I have seen it. I am a huge horror movie fan. If you can't tell, well, you can barely see it, but the Michael Myers mask right there from the 2018 film. Yeah. Even I will watch those type of movies every now and then. And Chopping Mall is complete garbage. So don't
extra
watch
innings
it.
For the Yankees this year has been Chopping Mall.
Yeah, we're just going to say that from now on.
Yeah.
It's just Chopping Mall. Aaron Boone is Chopping Mall. Anyway, that's it. You put Chopping Mall in the comment section below, and you get a medal. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. But I'll tell you this. Last thing I'll say. This is part of the reason why I've said I don't really care too much about trying to decipher what Brian Cashman's done and trying to go backwards, talking about who's not here, because they're not coming. Blake Snell won't be here. Corbin Burns not walking through the door. None of them. There's nobody. Flaherty won't be in pinstripes this year. Doesn't matter how hard we try. We're the Yankees. Doesn't matter. What matters is who's now in the door, because once now the deadline's passed, that door behind us is shut, and we're left with what's in that clubhouse, and that includes our manager. Our manager is supposed to be a leader, a heartbeat, and I know we call Aaron Judge the captain, but he doesn't decide when guys are stealing or when guys are pitching or coming out of games. He doesn't decide these things. He doesn't decide, is Austin Wells playing tomorrow? Okay, so this is why I put the biggest emphasis on what Aaron Boone's doing, because if he doesn't do a good job, if he's not comparable, we can't win. And I already feel like we haven't done enough roster-wise. So when you combine being, your shortcomings roster-wise with shortcomings mentally and execution-wise, well, why would anyone have any expectations other than to fall just short? So that's why I put such an emphasis on this, and I hope people take this seriously. And I think they will. I think people feel the same way, that this is just not acceptable. I don't know who people think could be a replacement manager-wise. I've heard a ton of names, right? People come up to me all the time. We're like, oh, yeah, Jeter should replace him. And like all these names, frankly, do your research. Go find somebody who actually has pedigree, knows baseball, and will implement and put the best players on the field and not overthink this. Because I think right now the Yankees are this organization that is just in a pretzel, trying to figure out all these really special and cool ways to utilize their players. And it's just a big it's just nonsense. It doesn't work. And it's disappointing because they do the same thing over and over again. And we get distracted by different things that happen during the year. And we just end up coming back to this place. I want to get somewhere else.
I'm with you. I do have, so I know this is going to be a little bit longer. I do have a few things I want to say. First off, a little controversial here. Probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to. You ready? I think you kind of
just don't get us in trouble.
Well, this might.
Oh, I get in enough trouble on Twitter. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So hear me out. Without talking about any of the off the field stuff, I really do think the Yankees should consider reaching out to Trevor Bauer. I know that's controversial, but just from a standpoint of baseball, we'll just talk about it like that. He would be the best. He'd be a better option than Will Warren. He'd be a better option than anybody in the minors right now. Poteet's probably the better option because, well, we'll see when he comes back healthy, but he was pitching well. But Poteet's not a guarantee, though. Like,
right.
And Bauer, I assume he's still pitching. I think he's still pitching.
He's still pitching to this day.
Pitching.
He's in playoff mode right now in Mexico. He's pitching well. So this is not a surprise. This is a pitcher. He's clearly a big leaguer. He's pitching in a league that he has no business pitching in. Mexican league they're still comparable players. They're not terrible. Luke Voit is in the Mexican league. So they're not terrible. Yeah, they're not terrible. So people think that the Mexican league is chopped liver, like they're playing T-ball over there. They're not. So, is it the Japanese league? No, right? We all know this. But Trevor Bauer is better than Will Warren. And as long as that's true, and Trevor Bauer also agreed, I'll play for league minimum. So if that's the case, Trevor Bauer and Will Warren cost the same amount of money, and one's a better pitcher than the other. It's an easy decision. And yet we're going to make this a circus. It's not. And I promise you, bringing Trevor Bauer on this team, Twitter won't matter. You can have as many people as you want retweeting and posting quote tweets. I promise you, if you just ignore it, it just goes away. It goes away. It does. How many people were marching and getting pissed off when he's pitching in Mexico? No, they're not. You know what they're doing for Trevor Bauer? They're lining up at the gate for his autograph. And if you don't believe me, go watch his vlog. It's in 4K. He can afford a nice camera for you. You can watch that.
We love that.
Yeah, love 4K. Okay, we won't be in 4K tonight because we uploaded this right away. But yeah, I don't even know if we'll be in 1080, but we'll be in Nokia 480.
That's the camcorder that Jazz had.
Yeah, we'll be in like Cloverfield, pixelated, whatever.
Cam.
Yeah, but the point here, Trevor Bauer is probably our last resort, and he's a good option. And he's essentially saying, I will allow myself, as much as I've done in this league, to be a team's last resort to prove myself in Major League Baseball. He knows he can pitch here. If Will Warren can pitch for Major League Baseball team, I promise you Trevor Bauer can. I guarantee you. If Cody Poteet can do it, Trevor Bauer can do it. Yeah. So, yeah, I completely agree with that. I don't really give a rip if there's going to be one person in the comment section go, that's reprehensible. I can't believe you guys said that. I can't be a fan of yours. That's what they'll do, and let them. Yeah, I don't care about that. It is what it is. We're all adults here. We all have different opinions. If you can't deal with it, well, call a therapist or call your mother.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you just went through and said, we can't get this guy. We can't get this guy. We can't get this guy. Well, who can you get? You can get him. You can't even get Johnny Cueto because the Angels gobbled him up. 38-year-old Johnny Cueto, who, by the way, this is how bad it is. I was jealous today. Jealous when I saw Johnny Cueto sign with the Angels. I was like, I wish the Yankees did that. That's where I'm at. Like, I think they absolutely should have done that. I think they absolutely should go after Trevor Bauer. You're not going to find many pitchers that are already revved up like that are available. Right. Because, I mean, at this point, you're not signing a guy off his couch.
No.
But I mean, Bauer wouldn't be on his couch. He'd be on a diamond. Like
these are hitters in midseason form. You need a pitcher who's ready, and Bauer is.
Exactly. Yeah. So that is, I wanted to say that. So that was the controversial thing.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay. What's the other thing?
Well, and then I wanted to mention Johnny Cueto.
This is the last thing, though, because this is definitely whatever you're going to say right now. This is absolutely the last thing because this show is going to be longer than the movie Lincoln. Go ahead.
So yeah, the last thing here is I want to mention two names that I think if they moved on from Boone, because everyone's like, well, you want to move on from him, but who would replace him? I got two. Okay.
Lay it on me.
Buck Showalter.
Okay.
I think he would knock everyone into shape. He'd be perfect.
Yes.
And AJ Pierzynski.
Okay.
He already said he wants to manage. He's come out and said that. He's been around the game, obviously played baseball, but now he's actually covering it. I want a guy that's close to the action.
Yeah.
You know, Buck kind of gets a pass for me because he's just taking a year off. But no, AJ, he's on foul territory TV all the time. So, I mean, he's following the game. Like and I listen to him talk and I'm like, I like AJ. I think AJ is a smart guy. I don't know what you think there, but I would say AJ Pierzynski would be him or Buck Showalter. I don't care either one. I would take over Aaron Boone right now.
Okay, so I'm gonna comment on AJ Pierzynski because I think I agree Buck would be fine. I don't really see it as a huge solution, and I'm not saying AJ is either a solution, but one thing I'll say, and you mentioned him being around the game. I think he's around the game enough because he's podcasting. It's just like us, right? He's around baseball enough. He also, he played, of course, but I think AJ Pierzynski is a person who's aware of analytics, but he's an old school guy. I think his personality fits an old school build. And when Aaron Boone was hired, let's remember why he was hired. He was hired because he agreed he would listen to the analytics department. He's not letting them build lineups the way everyone said he has, because I promise you, analytics doesn't say that any of these lineups make any sense. This is Aaron Boone making these lineups. So having said that, I just think in general, they went too far into analytics and they thought it would pay off in the long run. They thought if we have someone who agrees with analytics wholeheartedly, then eventually something would bounce our way statistically. And what they found out the hard way is that it takes an old school mind to just use logic so we can think our way, not calculate our way to a World Series. So AJ Pierzynski, at the very least, you can argue he would be in the direction that the Yankees need to go. Maybe not the right guy, but in that right direction. So I like where your head's at.
Yeah, exactly. Be aware of the game at the level today, be aware of analytics, but also have that kind of noggin, that, hey, okay, this went to hell at a handbasket. The analytics are telling me to do this, but my baseball mind, my 19 MLB seasons is telling me that's not what I should do. He has a feel. And so, yeah, that's a big deal for me. Just a guy that I've really been watching a decent amount of because he keeps coming up on my feed. And I saw him the other day because the White Sox, there was like a rumor that he was going to take over as the White Sox manager. And he said, no, that's not the case, but I'd be interested in any sort of manager role. So, yeah.
He's like, any role but that, please. He's in a nice, comfortable, he's in a hoodie talking baseball, enjoying himself, and then you're going to force him to go manage that White Sox team. I mean, that's torture.
Oh, I know.
That's not any fun.
I can't wait for somebody to comment. And I mean, I don't mean to be disparaging against people that watch our show, but there's going to be one person that comments, well, we need a real Yankee. He wasn't a Yankee. You know what'll happen. And I'll just say,
well, I mean, these are the same people who are super excited that people grew up a Yankees fan and they somehow think that that's going to propel us to the next level. And what you find out is he's from Jersey, like Anthony Volpe. He's from Jersey. It reminds me of Jeter, and he loves Yankees and Yankees forever and all these different guys. He's Italian. He likes chicken parm. All those cool, fun stories about the Yankees, that's all great after they win. Like, we'll talk about all that stuff about growing up a Yankee and wanting to be here. All that's really cool. But if you're not part of the solution that's going to help us actually get across the finish line, honestly, I don't give a rip if you played for the Yankees, if you played for the Cubs or the Red Sox. If you're part of the team, did I care that Johnny Damon was a Red Sox when we won a World Series? I didn't give a rip. I didn't think of him as a Red Sox. I didn't care at all. Hell, I didn't even talk about Johnny Damon. So all I'm saying here is that if you're really thinking that somebody who would do a good job shouldn't be the manager of the Yankees because he didn't have this lineage in pinstripes, well, I mean, I'll send a pack of Marlboros your way, because you're smoking something.
Oh, I'll throw another one out there and then we wrap it up. Mattingly. He should have gotten it, I think. Multiple manager of the year. That if you want to do a Yankee lineage, Don Mattingly. He should have been it over Aaron Boone, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah, I've always been a big fan of his, but anyway, that's gonna do it. Not the longest episode we've ever had, but it's definitely up there. So hopefully you guys enjoy it, and don't forget chopping mall, right?
Oh yeah, I even forgot.
Yeah, be sure to put chopping mall, and we'll know that you made it all the way to an hour. I almost said minute, an hour and 30 minutes. So that's gonna do it. Appreciate you guys.
Like this video.